Alright, so today I was going through all my snake tubs here in my reptile room. I have about 60 snakes, and I go through every tub every day and just kind of check to make sure they have enough water, do a quick spot clean, and check for eggs. I'm right in the middle of the egg laying season, and to my surprise, I actually had a ball python that laid some eggs that I did not think in a million years that this snake was going to lay some eggs. So in fact, I was just picking her up the other day, kind of spot cleaning her tub, looking at her thinking, this is not going to lay eggs. There's no way in a million years this snake is going to lay some eggs. And to my surprise, I kind of peeked in there today and it looked like maybe she had a couple slugs, maybe a boob egg in there. It didn't look really good. And the funny thing about this snake is it's pretty much the meanest ball python in my collection. When you think of ball pythons, you usually don't think of mean snakes, and for whatever reason this one has an attitude. Every time I even look in the tub, she comes flying out snapping at me like I've never seen any ball python do. It's kind of crazy. And these eggs aren't looking very good, so I pretty much set up a box so I can put them up in the incubator, but I haven't really looked at them to see if they're good eggs. And I want to kind of jump in there, look at the eggs, kind of do a quick candling to see if any of them are good. I'm thinking maybe that one boob egg is good, and this one's actually my bumblebee ball python. So it's a pastel and a spider, and it's also possible yellow belly and possible het pied, and I bred it with my fire pied, hoping to prove out the pied gene in her if she actually has one copy of the pied gene, which would be kind of awesome. But if I only have like one boob egg, it might not be a very successful year. As a matter of fact, she's 5 years old, which is kind of crazy. She's been a really picky eater over the last 5 years, pretty much since I got her. She'll only eat live, and she really does not like to even be looked at when you open up the tub. It's kind of crazy. So I'm going to jump over and I want to check out this snake and see how many eggs she has. Maybe we can have one egg that'll actually hatch out of this crazy clutch. Alright, so this girl lives over here in this rack over here. This is actually my ARS 5040 tub, which is a grow-out rack. And usually if the ball pythons get too big, I move them from here over into like a 70-30. And you can definitely tell this is not looking good right from the start. Take a look at this. This is definitely not a fertilized egg. It doesn't really look like it. And we got a couple more here. Let's take a look at this. Looks like maybe this one egg here might be a good egg. Look at that. She's like taking a look at me like she's gonna bite me. That crazy snake. She is a little slow. Oh, she got me. Woo, she's drawn blood too. Oh, she got me right on the finger. Woo, take a look at that. Oh, there's the damage. Oh, that is one crazy snake. She did not like me getting in there on her eggs. Wow. Ow, that one really hurt. I can't believe that crazy snake bit me. Alright, so it looks like I have one kind of a boob egg and 3 slugs. So what I'm going to do is I want to see if I can get in there without getting bit. I'm pretty sure she laid all the eggs. Look at how skinny she is. She was really skinny to begin with. Man, I am really, ooh, that really hurt. Woo! They usually don't hurt that bad. Wow, she got me. Wow, look, she's like opening her mouth. She's like, woo! She's on fire. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I want to pull that tub out. I'll put it on the table and we'll see if I can keep from getting bit. I might need a band-aid before I go in and get these eggs. Man, that girl got me. Alright, so take a look at this crazy snake. She is keyed in on my movements. I'm going to see if I can kind of get around her without taking another bite. So I think this one might hatch. It looks like there's a little bit embryo right there. I can almost see it without even candling it. And let's see if I can look at her. She's like right on me. She's going to take another bite. And I already put a band-aid on one. I definitely don't want to take another bite from this girl. Look at how crazy she is. I've never seen a ball python act like this. Honestly, this is really unusual for a ball python. She almost is like part blood python or something. She is a really crazy snake. What I might do is I might use a shield. Come on, girl. Come on, girl. Look at her. She is like keyed in. Alright, usually the advantage of ball pythons is once you usually touch them, then they're perfectly fine. Then they ball up, they get a little bit scared. It gives me a little bit of time. So here are the 3, it looks like 3 slugs and 1 good egg out of that clutch. So I want to put this girl back and then we'll candle this other egg and take a look at it. All right, so I have my flashlight here. We'll take a look at this, maybe turn out some lights, and then we'll take a look at this. I'm thinking the one egg might hatch. It looks like it might be fertile, and we'll see. It looks like it's pretty good. I can definitely tell that this is a good egg right there. Nice. Hopefully this one will give me a pied. Hopefully, you know, it could be a spider pied, it could be a fire pied, could be a bumblebee pied. I have a whole bunch of genes. It could be actually, there's a pastel, spider, yellow belly, and fire and pied in the mix. So if I get all those genes, you know, it's possible the other ones, so that'd be pretty awesome. And we'll take a look at these. These look like they are just slugs, nothing in the slug. And here's another one. This is another slug. And one more. So these are non-fertile eggs. This one, I don't know. This one, that's kind of an interesting little spot right on the slug. You know, these are, I can almost see, it almost looks like there might be veins or something in there. I don't think these are going to be any good, but I'm almost tempted just to kind of just throw them in there. You never know. I don't think there's any chance that those are going to hatch, but I may actually throw them in the mix and see if that'll actually do anything. I doubt, you know, usually slugs, you don't even give them a chance. This one is kind of in the middle, maybe a little fertile, and kind of a fertilized slug. I don't know if you can have a fertilized slug in the mix. This is kind of an interesting one because it almost looks like it had a little tiny embryo right there, but these other two, I'm pretty sure those are just slugs. So that is a really interesting clutch. So normally what I do on these is I put a little X right on the embryo. You can definitely tell, even without candling it, that the embryo is right there. And you want to always keep the embryo, that little red circle, right on top. It seems like you get a better hatch rate if you keep the embryo on top. Alright, so here it is. These are my 4 eggs. I don't think these other 3 are going to hatch. I think it's just going to be one. I'm just going to throw them in there just for kicks. And essentially what I do to make up these egg boxes is I use a vermiculite water substrate underneath. I used 150 grams of vermiculite, 150 grams of water, mixed it in really good, and then I put this like an egg crate plastic on top. And then I just kind of wedge them in there. And I wedge them so they can't really roll around too much. Some people do like toothpicks or popsicle sticks, and I just usually just wedge them like that. And then I use press and seal to seal the top, just like regular Glad press and seal. And then I just put a piece right on top, and that seals in the moisture. It keeps the humidity really high in there, but it keeps, as far as I know, this is permeable to air, and air can go in and out of the press and seal. Although I have heard some people say that air can't go through the press and seal, which I'm not too sure that that's the case. I'm pretty sure that it's breathable because, you know, I've actually heard people thinking about going to a completely sealed lid with no holes in the hole enclosure anywhere, and I don't really think that's a good idea. I would either use press and seal, or if you use like a completely sealed lid, I'd probably put at least a couple pinholes through, you know, maybe a small, like a 1/4 inch hole, or maybe an 1/8 of an inch hole here and there, just as breathers somewhere on the tub. You definitely don't want your snakes to run out of air. And then I'll just put the lid on, and then I'll label this and pop it in the incubator. Alright, so actually I was wrong on my breeding. This is kind of funny because you breed the same snakes year after year after year, and you have to look back at your records to figure out what you did. And this year I bred this bumblebee to my albino pied. So everything will be 100% albino, 100% het pied, and maybe we'll hit the visual pied, which would be pretty awesome. Alright, so from here I use Brother Printer. As a matter of fact, someone was asking me, where do you get this label maker? And they don't even make it anymore. You can pick them up on eBay. This is a Brother P-Touch. I think they have a newer version. And essentially what I do is I just print out the pairings. So this is the pairing albino pied crossed with my bumblebee. And then this one laid today and will hatch on the 6th of August. That is quite a long time. 60 days to wait for these to hatch. Alright, so I have some other eggs in the incubator. I just wanted to show you real quick kind of what I have cooking. This is from my problematic clutch. This is the one that was egg bound from my pastel calico, and it is pretty ripe. It doesn't look very good. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if I want to keep this one going or not. it doesn't really smell that bad. This is the one that was stuck in the belly of the snake for 4 weeks before she actually laid it. It was kind of crazy. And since it doesn't really smell that bad, it's kind of looking pretty ripe. I'm kind of on the edge. I think I might throw it away, but I'm not 100% sure. So since doesn't really smell bad, I'll just throw it back in the incubator. You never know on some of these eggs. I always want to give them a really good chance. If it really smelled super bad, I would definitely be tossing it out. Alright, so here's the rest of the clutch from that one that was egg bound, and it looks like we do have another bad egg in here. She was kind of late on some of these. This one is looking super ripe. Take a look at that. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 good eggs and one that is looking really super bad. I don't think there's much hope for this one. As a matter of fact, this one's smelling a little bit ripe. So what I'm going to do is, by the way it's looking, what I might do is I might actually pull this one out and put it in the box with the other one. That is really looking bad. So we have 2 bad eggs in that box, and keep them away from all these good eggs. Alright, so when it comes to snake eggs, sometimes they can look super moldy, really bad, and I've actually seen some snakes crawl out of some of the nastiest snakes that I've seen. So I always like to keep them, I like to separate them away from the good eggs and just kind of move them right over to a separate container just in case. Look at how bad that one looks, really nasty. I don't think anything's going to hatch out of this one, but you never know. I've actually seen snakes hatch out of eggs worse than that. It's kind of crazy. So another thing I like to do when I'm going through these egg boxes is to wipe all the condensation from the top of the press and seal. I used to replace it at one point, and then I found out that you really don't need to replace it. You can just kind of wipe it down a little bit and then put it back on. You really don't want the condensation dripping on your eggs, because it seems like everywhere you get a little drop of water on your egg, it seems to go bad a little bit faster right at that spot. And you definitely want to keep them, you have to keep them in the incubator for 2 months at 90 degrees, so it's quite a long time. Alright, so I have 2 more boxes of eggs. Believe it or not, these came from the same female in a really big clutch. It was a really big pastel that I bred with my bamboo calico, hoping for some bamboos out of this clutch. It would be pretty awesome. And these have been in the incubator for about 2 weeks and 2 days, something like that. And these are looking really good. Take a look at those. That is how a 2-week-old egg should look. Nice and full and plump and nice and white. Looks really awesome. No real condensation in this box. This is doing really fantastic for being in there for a couple weeks. And normally what I like to do is I like to go in at least every 2 or 3 weeks and just kind of check on them. If there's a bad egg, you definitely don't want a bad egg to spoil the whole batch. And usually if you have a really super bad egg, usually it'll go bad like usually within like the first few days. It'll get really nasty really fast. And sometimes they can go bad right at the end. This one looks like maybe there's one maybe on the edge. Ooh, look at that one. That is not looking good right there. That's actually my boob egg, which is kind of interesting. You see it's kind of next to that one. So probably what I'll do is, it's always the decision. Should you leave it in there, or should you move it to another box, or should you just throw it away? And that is the question. What I might do is just put it in the box with, I'll probably put it in a separate box. So it's not actually, or you could just kind of separate it away from the other eggs. It doesn't really smell bad. It just looks a little funky, a little moldy, and I can just maybe move it over just a little bit and just keep it away from the other eggs over here. That's probably what I'll do, so I don't have to kind of do another box. I'll just keep an eye on it. Believe it or not, eggs like that can actually hatch. It is pretty crazy. You definitely want the embryos up on top the whole time during the incubation. But that's why it's always good to get in here, so you can find something like this, move it away, and then in a few days I can just kind of go back and keep checking on it. And if it smells really super bad, then I definitely go in and we'll get rid of it. All right, so there you have it. I can finally prove out that bumblebee. Hopefully, if we can get that one egg to hatch, it looks like maybe one of those eggs will hatch. The other three, I'm pretty sure they're just slugs and they're not gonna hatch. And as far as my other eggs in the incubator, things are coming along pretty good. I'll start hatching out eggs in about 3 weeks, which will be really exciting to finally get some hatchlings. And then of course, you know, after I hatch them out, it takes a while to get them onto food. They have to eat at least 6 meals before I can sell them. Although if I hatch them out, I might do some pre-sales or something like that. I'll definitely do videos as I'm cutting open the eggs and hatching them out and putting them up in my hatchling rack. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.